Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, where we speak our minds and hope you don't mind. Here is this week's HR Hot List. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. People's choice. Should a national vote be taken to continue executions? KPK crisis. We assess the condition of the country's revamped anti-corruption commission. And pet peeve. Do we really need a cat cafe? Here beside me, when she's not making laws, is Rahayu Saraswati, Sarah, parliament member, activist, and the younger sister I never had.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Pause right there. I love you.
Yenny is out. Sitting in for her is Endy Bayuni, senior editor at the Jakarta Post and economics major from Kingston University in England. I found that out. Okay, hot topic number one. People's choice. A recent opinion piece in the country's leading English newspaper called for voters to decide whether we should execute people. In closing, the author said if the public voted to end capital punishment, it would save Joko Widodo from, quote, making the biggest mistake of his presidency and would, quote, save Indonesia. The author's sitting right here with us. You know, Endy, that's as strong as I ever heard you write over the years. You know, this debate raging, of course, because other countries raising diplomatic objections to the pending executions of its citizens in this country, and of course some protests from within this country. Do you have a strong personal stake in this, or do you just feel it's the people's right to decide, or both?
Well, I feel strongly about the state taking the lives of people. So I'm against capital punishment. And I think that's the basis of my article. But I'm making the argument that the nation, we have not had the benefit of a full discourse, the pros and cons of capital punishment. Of course, the President Jokowi would say it's in a legal system, it's in our law system. So it's but I think the nation should be allowed to decide on this very important issue. This happened in many other countries which abolish capital punishment. Indonesia is actually one of 57, I think, countries that still retain the death penalty.
You know, we've talked about, Sarah, this issue several times on this program.
Yeah.
The national-international discussion is very hot at the moment. Is this a problem for the president regarding national sovereignty? Is a problem national sovereignty or human rights?
I think, you can't take one without taking account of the other. Obviously, when you're talking about capital punishment, you're talking about, there will be always people who talk about human rights. I mean, I myself am the same. I'm against capital punishment. However, now that I'm part of the parliament, I do see this as, well, first of all, we have to take this away, like capital punishment as a subject in itself and what's happening and, the president's decision to stick with the law, because that
very
is
firmly.
That is what is in place with our law, and to change that, obviously, I don't know whether it's to actually have a national consensus or something like that. However, at this time, that's the law and that's in place. Now, if we're looking at the capital punishment itself, now that I'm in parliament, I tried to look it over, and here's the issue. I would love to be able to, promote a new legislation, a new law that states no capital punishment. I prefer, for example, solitary confinement, or and we talked about this. I said about having like Alcatraz or something like that here. I mean,
which might even be a harsher penalty for some, right?
Well,
which
psychologists all over the world have mentioned that something like that is actually a harsher punishment than the death penalty. However,
are you going to push legislation?
No. However, I'm one of those that I'm not going to push something until the system is in place that is ready to be able to, for example, here's the issue.
You mean like support system, infrastructure to support, not executing people?
Because if you don't execute people, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave them out in the roads? Not in the streets? Not exactly. It means that you need to have more prison, because our prisons are
it creates a whole different set of problems.
And we definitely do not have enough manpower to even look over our inmates.
Okay, and I'm not sure putting it to a public vote would be the wisest course, because we elect our leaders to guide us on these important issues, and leaders shouldn't, leaders who we hope wouldn't be swayed by public opinion, because a lot of times they are, but.
Well, the President Jokowi decided on the execution of all 64 people on death row early in his presidency in October. Some of them were already in the process of applying for clemency. Some of them were not. He already decided all of them should die. Yeah? So he is given the power, prerogative power by the Constitution, to grant remissions, even to commute death penalty to life. He decided not to look at the individual cases.
You know why he did it.
And of course, he explained, because Indonesia is in a state of emergency. We have a war against drug abuses, and he made that statement.
Well, more than that, I think he had to look tough. I mean,
Sure.
it was a political stand. He had to.
But that's one thing. I think in 2007, 2008, the Constitutional Court actually reviewed, because there was a petition by Todo Mulai Lubis asking for the abolishment of capital punishment. The court looked at it, and they voted 5-4. So it was a close vote. So I thought, because now the president is not going to bother with looking at individual cases, and the court had already made its statement, it's 5-4, why not allow the nation to make that decision after a full discourse on the pros and cons? If the nation decided, based on rational and informed choice, that they want to retain capital punishment, by all means, let's keep it. But what I'm saying is we have to give that a chance now.
Yeah, that was the wrong thing for him to do, to just give a blanket
Yes,
affirmation
exactly,
of the pending executions. You know, Indonesia, as you wrote, Andy, is one of nearly 60 countries that has a death penalty, including Japan and the U.S. So the argument that we need to fall in line with developed countries and ban it doesn't hold water. Yeah.
No, because obviously we all know that other countries, such as what the ones you mentioned, still have those capital punishments. And it's not about that issue. Again, I mean, people here, sometimes they get really subjective when it comes to which cases should have capital
And wrongly
punishments
so.
and which
I
ones should
think.
not. I mean, they say, okay, drugs, oh, it's okay, but corruption, hang them and all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's very emotional. And we need to make sure that when we're talking about the law, that it's,
So as Eddie said,
above
maybe it needs to be a
emotions.
case-by-case thing. And if there's appeal and it's upheld, that's what needs to be done, rather than the president saying, blanket, everybody's going to die, no matter what.
Wow, okay, you put
58 people remain on
Yeah.
Indonesia's death row.
Right.
But what do we say to the families of the victims of these convicted criminals? Now, that's the other side. They want something.
You know what? I've been commenting on this on the social media for some time, because a lot of people, especially in Australia, have been making very, very big noise about what's going on here, and putting us as we're like the worst of the worst for having this. And here's the issue is, why is it only when it's Indonesia? Why not when it's the other countries you mentioned? Why not when it's happening in America? Why not when it's happening in Japan? And why is it that we're such bad guys for actually upholding the laws that we have?
And we look a little hypocritical because we make big arguments overseas when our citizens
Well,
are.
that's why people like us, we do argue for the non. But however, let's just be fair,
And
I mean,
that might not be a bad idea. National referendum to let the people, whether and see what happens.
See what happens.
Hot Endo will continue shortly. Do we now have a healthy corruption fighting agency? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sarah, guest host Endy Bayuni, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, KPK crisis. The storyline is almost too unbelievable, even for a soap opera. The president nominates a police chief, who the next day is named a corruption suspect. The president backs down by naming a new candidate for top cop and replaces leaders of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Those leaders, in the meantime, are named suspects in criminal cases. The public's question, are we all supposed to be on the same team here, or is the problem, as political analysts say, that two powerful agencies are taking advantage, running over a new and inexperienced president?
you can go ahead first. I'm gonna
Should I say that?
go, please.
I would say this is a litmus test for the new president. And unfortunately, I think looking at the development, I think he failed. He could have done better, but this shows that he failed to exercise leadership, and this whole thing just got out of control. Police are doing their own things, and the KPK is in disarray, and people are not talking about the needs of the KPK, which is actually disturbing.
Yeah. Would this have happened under the previous president?
No, I think President Yudhoyono, he defended the KPK even to the point of sacrificing the father-in-law of his son, even to the point of sacrificing people in his inner circle, within his party, within the cabinet. they all went to KPK and they all went to jail. So
Very good point, yeah.
Yeah.
Would this have happened under President Prabowo?
We would never know.
I'll just give you the chance. I know it's going on in your mind.
We would never know. I mean,
Yeah.
really. I mean, would
But-
the price of would the currency against dollar would it rise up to 13,000? We would never
I'm just
know.
giving you a chance to talk about your uncle a little bit.
No.
Okay.
That's not. We're talking about
Speculation.
President
Well, we're
Joko
talking
Widodo at the
speculation.
moment.
Okay, well, and Andy said it wouldn't happen under
Fun
SPI.
subject,
Okay.
fun subject.
Now, the new leaders of the KPK, which we're focusing on, actually former leaders returning, the head guy, is planning to turn over the Budi Gunawan case, or has, to the Attorney General's office, and that sparked protests at the KPK offices. Supporters of the previous leaders saying that they're giving in. They're giving in to the forces that are attacking them.
Yeah. Out of
Because the AGO will then turn it over to the police, who will drop it.
Yeah, he summarized it quite well, actually. The point is that we need a leader right now to kind of say, okay, you know what, enough is enough. This is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. Sometimes when I mean, I don't know whether this is conspiracy theory or something, but a lot of people are talking about how there's a movement going on that's trying to discredit KPK, but it's not just KPK. They're trying to discredit the police, trying to discredit
They don't need
the
much help.
parliament, trying to discredit anybody that might go against this, single power, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it's happening. And the majority of the people, they go against what they think is right, but here's the facts. Not everybody in KPK, in the Corruption Eradication Commission, are exactly 100% clean.
Of course, in every office.
Not everybody in the police department, in the police force are 100%
But we're talking about the leaders.
clean.
We're talking about the leaders.
Here's the thing. Unfortunately, for a while, you think, okay, who's the chief of police force now? I mean, how much
kind of
longer?
lost track of this.
How much longer do we need to wait? I mean, it's vacuum, Dalton.
Yeah.
The chief of police in Indonesia is a vacuum post, and for me,
And
it's not.
KPK
All
also.
of this is just the like a domino effect of that. In the first place, the fact that, I'm sorry, for myself personally, the first mistake that President Joko Widodo did in the beginning of all this was that he only gave the parliament one option, one choice, and that was
And why did he do that? That's a whole other story, right?
Oh, yeah, we tried to, we
okay.
kind of peeled it
Well,
open.
I think we've come to
few
a
shows
situation
ago.
now where we're criminalizing everything. I mean, somebody could file a charge against me for like blocking her way at Starbucks. I mean, and the police will say, well, we have to investigate because it's our duty. I don't think they should. In other countries, the police have the right to say, oh, there's not enough stuff here. We're not going to handle this. You crazy? Go back. But here they seem to say we have to take everything. It's our job. Is that the
And I
law?
think the tragedy is actually the police are showing the way. I mean, they're going after these KPK people for minor, like the forgery of ID cards, which turned out to be not true.
Minor.
But I know those are important, but
you know what they're doing. You know what they're doing. They're kind of going, oh, you have that. Well, we have this against you.
Yeah, it's
You know?
tit for tat. And
Exactly.
well, somebody has to step in and be the school teacher, the principal, or the parent, and say, hey, kids, cut it out.
That's the thing. Right now, we're like chicks without a mama hand.
Yeah. So who is that?
And we're like-
we go back to
the president.
yeah. And why is it he's stepping up and saying anything? Why hasn't he taken? I mean, is he so torn by these backroom forces? Is that basically it?
I would say that he is trying to reconcile the different interests within his own coalition, within his own party, even within his own cabinet. They have very different interests, and they're fighting for their territory, and the president simply lost control of that.
Even if he made a statement now, some people are ignoring what he's saying, like they're telling the police to cut it out, and he just ignoring them. So. Let's hope it firms up, because it just started.
We need a president more than a party's member.
You need a leader. Hopefully he'll step up through this political mess. Okay, more Hot Indo is coming up. Tea time with Cool Cats. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, pet peeve. It's been a crazy trend in Tokyo. It was bound to happen here. A cat cafe. A cat cafe is open in South Jakarta where customers can have tea and cookies while playing with furry animals. The pets are all of the owners, who says the goal is to relieve customer stress. She says that also that the animals are being regularly checked by vets and fed healthy meals. Now, am I getting grumpy, or is this a silly waste of money?
Whose money is being wasted?
The customers, they have to pay.
Oh, no. See, you skipped
to
over.
go in and
skipped
play with
over.
these. Come on.
You skipped over.
What?
You skipped over the fact that, first of all, everybody spends money in cafes. Okay, that's gonna happen anyway. Now, here's the plus point for those who are cat lovers. They don't actually have to bring a cat home, especially when you're living in apartments where you cannot actually have pets. And you go over there and you get to pet cats, which you love. I mean,
I find hair in my food at most restaurants anyway.
It's distressing. It's distressing.
Who wants to?
It's like yoga, except this time you're looking at pets.
It's not yoga. You don't get hair in your face with yoga. I mean.
Well, obviously someone's a cat hater.
Who'd want to eat around a bunch of animals?
Well,
Hey, a lot of people did that. I used to have 13 cats and I did
that's
fine,
you.
thank you very
love
much.
Cats. Endy, would you like to do that?
Well, I'm a cat person myself.
Oh, here we go. Thank you very much. You invited like the wrong or right person.
Yeah.
But
Right person.
but it's a team cafe, right? You have so many choices. I've had even worse or more outrageous ideas for a cafe. And I think cat cafes, why not? There are people who like cats.
Hey.
And
Okay, hold on. Let's ask.
It's not gonna
which,
last.
No, which animal
I'm
you
sorry,
actually
I don't
like?
mean
Which
to-
animal do you like?
Well, I had a dog. I had a pet when I was growing up.
Do you
know.
think it would be
I had
nice
fish.
to just have, a dog kind of curled up in the
No.
corner, and you're like having, and then
See,
they
to
just
me,
come up
focusing
to you and
on
you
pets, I'm kind of. I'd rather focus on humans. I don't have enough time to focus on pets.
Ooh, yes, mister.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And Indonesia
I
generally.
don't have enough time to focus on
Indonesia
pets.
pets are kind of a middle class thing, right? And Indonesia are not really into pets. Like everybody's worrying about just making enough.
You do
to eat.
realize the women watching this right now are like, okay, scratch Dalton off the
Well,
list. He's
I mean,
not an
but
animal
what
lover.
women are watching? I mean, they're talking about.
Hey, all this time, Yenny and I have been trying to help you, promote you.
I'm just saying that.
You're not helping your case.
It's an indulgence and it's a luxury, and there's more important things to worry about.
You're trying to like cover the hole you just dug.
Tokyo is the extreme. I mean, they have doggy restaurants. You can take your dog.
They have a
you
cat
can dine.
cafe in
You
Thailand.
have
It's not
cat
just in
cafe.
Japan.
I mean, are we going to see? I mean, dogs are a different thing. It's a religious issue here, but.
well, in Singapore they have 4. I checked out last night.
I love it. This guy, he checked
However,
it out.
one of them may be closed down, maybe forced to close down because of hygienic and.
There you go.
But that's the job for the inspectors, right?
And that's the job for the
For all restaurants
cafe
and cafes.
owners.
We don't have
Yeah,
inspectors
I'm
here.
I'm sorry to say, but I know certain restaurants in a certain mall that has an infestation of rats
Well,
out there.
Oh, then you
so
need
I
the
prefer
cats.
cat. Yes, I was about to say. You know what? You know what's gonna make sure that that place is clean from rats? The cats.
Yes.
At least you won't be getting like rat poop in around
Yeah.
your
So what is
food.
better, rat poop or cat poop?
But the cat is not gonna poop. They're one of the cleanest animals. They bathe themselves and they actually have.
I don't think
they
we've
know
actually
exactly
said the
where
word
to
poop
go.
on this program before. I've said it twice in one sentence.
Hey, but we've had in our old shows we've had orgasm on the show. Apparently, remember, like not real orgasm, just the word. The word, people. We said it.
What do you
We
mean
said
not a
the
real
word.
orgasm? Now you're getting deeper into the poop.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, let's move on. It is
What a
feedback
show!
time.
What a show!
Feedback time. It is our time to listen to you. And Sadi texted this. I didn't know TIC had an app available. Really cool. Yes. Download free for your mobile device from Apple App Store or Google Play. Now, if you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest a topic for us to tackle, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Final words, Endy.
Yeah, well, I'm a journalist, so I look at news, and I think a lot of the news today are bad and horrible. But don't believe everything you read in the paper.
Except the Jakarta
As a
Post.
journalist.
As a journalist.
Except the Jakarta Post.
Well, because I think that's the nature of the news. We highlight the bad ones, but I think there's a lot of good news around. We have to find them.
Yeah. Okay, very nice. Okay, final word, Sarah.
You know what's good news? Good news is when you have friends around you, you have family around you, you know you're doing the best that you can to make that your life and your family's life the best that it can be. You're focusing on your work, you're focusing on your family, you're prioritizing. And when you do all that, and you know exactly where you stand, you don't have to look at all these news and get so frustrated. That's what I'm doing right now so that I don't get so stressed out. I just, I have a saying now, just buy popcorn, eat it, and
Yeah.
watch the show.
Yeah, for all two of you.
'Cause-
Okay. and my final words.
I need some popcorn now.
Yeah. A friend is getting married this weekend, having converted from Catholic to Muslim to fulfill religious and family obligations. Now, does it really matter what God you pray to when vowing eternal love? I don't think so. So, best wishes to Leo and Resti for a wonderful life together. And that's Hot Indonesia for Sarah and Endy. I'm Dalton Tanonaka. See you again next time.